In this video, we're going to look at the ideas of quantities in variables. So let's consider the following scenario. A 14-inch candle is lit and steadily burns until it is burned out. I have that shown here on the screen. Now, there are various aspects of the situation that we can imagine measuring or assigning a number to. So for example, the remaining length of the candle, we could imagine measuring that, or the length of the candle that has burned away, or the original length of the candle, the time elapsed since the candle was lit. There's a lot of different things about the situation that we can imagine measuring. And we call these measurable aspects quantities. Now, on the other hand, there are certain things that it doesn't really make sense to measure or assign a number to in the situation. So, for example, the type of candle, or maybe the type of wax, or the color of the candle. These are some things that, for our purposes, it doesn't really make sense to assign a number to. In general, we say a quantity is an attribute of an object or situation that you can imagine measuring or assigning a number to. And the measurement of the quantity in a specified unit is referred to as the value of the quantity. Let's go back to the candle burning context. So I'll play this animation again, but now we have segments that represent some of the links within this situation. So we have this black segment representing the original length of the candle, the blue one representing the burned length of the candle, and the red one representing the remaining length of the candle. And as this candle burns, so if we watch the candle burn, the burned length and the remaining length of the candle both vary, but the original length of the candle does not. And therefore, we say that the original length of the candle is a fixed quantity because its value is fixed, whereas the remaining length and the burned length of the candle are varying quantities because the values of those two quantities vary as the candle burns. If we know the value of a fixed quantity, such as the original length of this candle, we can just use a single number, or a constant, to represent the value of that quantity. So in this situation, we could just use the number 14 to represent the original length of this candle in inches. But, on the other hand, as we watch the candle burn, the burned length and the remaining length both vary in value, so we can't just use a single number to represent the values of those two quantities. So we need some kind of new tool to represent the varying values of those two quantities. In mathematics, we use a tool called variables, and a variable represents the varying value of a varying quantity. So in this situation, we could let the variable b represent the varying value for the burned length of the candle in inches. So in this animation, we have b here representing the burned length in inches, and as the candle burns, the value of b varies. So we use b to represent like a value, but it's a value that varies as the situation plays out. It's important to understand what we mean when we say a variable has a specific value. So as an example, if 3 inches have burned from the candle, so we'll represent that here. So if 3 inches have burned from the candle, then b is equal to 3 because b represents the burned length of the candle in inches. On the other hand, if we said something like b equals 12, we would be saying that the burned length of the candle in inches is 12. And therefore, we have a situation that looks something like this. In general, a variable is a letter or symbol that represents the varying value of a quantity. When we define a variable, it's important to do the following things. We need to be descriptive about what quantity we are measuring, which often includes indicating where the quantity is being measured from. And it's also very important to state the unit of measure for that variable.